And now, Pujya Shri Swami Jyotirmayananda commences tonight's satsang with the Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with a mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called Far, Far From Home. I wandered far, far from home. I left behind the Ganges River, swirling through the green Himalayas. The sun was rising to the east, and to the west the sun was setting. I wandered far, far from home. My tender desires were filled with currents of despair, and the burning earth seemed to sigh beneath my feet. I wandered far, far from home. When my vain heart moved on, it found no refuge, no sweet stream of eternal hope. I wandered far, far from home. But with time, my growing ego turned from the glittering world to a deep, deep love for God. I wandered far, far from a golden light carried me in a flashing circle, and beneath I saw the world We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is April the 14th, 2021, Wednesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 331. And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha, Section 74. Story of King Bhagiratha continues. As long as the ego continues to dance in the realm of one's consciousness, so long the cage of the painful world process is not destroyed, and the soul is not released from the limitations of time and space. Bhagiratha, by his practice of vichar, is gaining these insights. And the insight is pure consciousness is like the screen. Projections create the show, cinema show. But the nucleus of the projections is the ego. It's like the ego dancing over the screen. So as long as this is the predicament of the soul, there is bondage. Again, reminding you of bhava pratyaya and pratyaya bhava. All your experiences in thought, word, and deed, in three planes: physical, sentimental, thoughtful, bhur-bhuvasva, all your experiences, they are appearances on the screen of consciousness. Consciousness is pure awareness. But ego, directing the thought waves of your mind, continue to create a show. And that's called the world process. Become free from the egoistic notion of being a king. This is what Sage Tritala is giving teachings to Bhagiratha. says Tirthala, his guru. Let me complete what I started to tell you. Bhav pratyaya means as long as projections are creating the illusion of drama, the screen is not viewed by you, but it is the screen that is supporting all your projections. If the projections are taken away or viewed to be absolute illusion, there will be a revelation that pure consciousness alone exists. Prajnanam Brahma. And that's known as pratyaya bhav. Become free of the egoistic notion of being a king, the Guru is telling him. Free from all miserly feelings of the mind. All that you experience in the world is little. All the show that brings out so many delicacies, as it were, put them all together, they're nothing but void, zero, in relation to the screen. The screen is the only substantial reality. So all that you go through in the world, creating a whole history of your life, your biography, how people view you, countless. But all of that turn into nothing but void. In the passage of time, they're all blown away. Nothing can you really count upon. And therefore, self-realization is your goal. Realizing who am I, that screen-like reality. Free from all miserly feelings of the mind. Okay, we have to hold off. Okay. So all the feelings of this world and all the experiences, they are based on Sankirana Drishti, narrow-minded view. Free from animosity, even towards your enemies. Both attitudes of love and hate, both are backed up by ignorance. When you have succeeded in doing so and have reduced yourself to a state of utter humility and self-effacement, you will attain the fullness of experience, wherein the world is completely transcended. The world is transcended means Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. To realize that all that emanates from the screen is nothing but the screen. If all that has come is taken away from the screen, what is left is nothing but the screen. The whole world has come out of the fullness, Purnam. And essentially it is always Purnam, Purnamada, Purnamidam. And we take away this whole fullness, that making you a fool. What is left is nothing but full. In next section, King Bhagiratha attains liberation. Having listened to the instructions of his guru, his name is Tirthala. Tala is behind. Tala is at the bottom. Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. These are the three planes. And one who is behind the three planes, he is, in other words, Guru is self-realized. Therefore, he is representing Brahman himself. And Brahman is behind all the three planes. But that's a subtle meaning. Coming to the storyline, Tirthala is the Guru who is giving instructions to Bhagiratha. So Bhagiratha, having listened to these teachings, decided upon a course of action for attaining self-realization. Now he planned his life of sadhana for attaining the goal of life. He performed a yajna called Agnistoma with the desire of giving away all that he possessed. In storyline, righteous kings of ancient times used to perform a profound form of yajna, a ritual performance that required a lot of acts of charity and led the king or whoever performs it to a divine success, promoting the path of liberation. But going into deeper meaning, subtler meaning, Agni is a fire. Agni Jyoti Aha Shukla. When you think of the Dharayana movement, it begins with Agni, fire. Who are developing Vairagya, this passion, it is automatically supplemented by charity and generosity of your heart. Your heart becomes magnanimous. When you begin to say that your near and dear ones you have renounced, the whole world has now become your near and dear ones. Therefore, you have renounced your narrow, circled near and dear ones. So it is Agnistoma Yagya, adoring the Agni that opens the door to Uttarayan path, northern path, leading to liberation. Following the storyline, within 3 days, he gave away all his possessions in charity. You live your whole life in a mystic way, you live only for 3 days. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So within 3 days, he gave away all in charity. Nothing is mine. He allowed the neighboring king, who was heretofore an enemy, to become king of his land. Prior to Vairagya, he had a limited vision of friend and foe. But now with Vairagya and charitable heart, friends are friends, but even foes are friends. There is no room for raga dvesha, being attached or developing animosity and dislike. But you must always understand this ideal state is not reached in quick movement. It requires bhagirath prayatna, Herculean effort. Having nothing more than a lion cloth on his body, he went out of his kingdom and entered into the depths of the forest, where no one knew him as the king. It's a practice of sannyasa. Living a life of utter simplicity, the king attained freedom from all desires. Due to profound serenity of the mind, he attained rest in his own self. He develops shama, the gateway to liberation. Wandering on this earth, he once happened to come to his own kingdom as a mendicant. This is a picture of sannyasi. Sannyasi, having renounced his home and his relatives, his parents and all, and having become a sannyasi, he can go back to his family, but not as a family member, but as a bhikshu with a bowl in his hand. All this is allegorical, and you don't have to literally follow it. He asks for alms from his own ministers and citizens. They recognized him as their previous king. Naturally, there was a sentimental reaction. Such a great king, now he's become a beggar. That's how Shuddhodana, father of Buddha, felt when Siddhartha, his son, entered into a state of renunciation. Even the enemy king honored Bhagiratha and requested him to take back his kingdom. But the king did not accept anything more than food. Leaving his citizens in a state of grief, he departed from the kingdom and continued to wander with his mind constantly devoted to the divine self. During his wanderings, he happened to meet his guru. The guru had taught him, and he has become separated from guru in the practice of his sadhana. And now, in divine plan, he joins the guru again. But guru becomes his friend now. This again is a subtle point, that the disciple doesn't stay distant from the guru. And that's what the guru's wish is. The guru's wish is the disciple should attain liberation. Guru गुड़ ही रहे चेला चीनी हो गया. Guru gud hi rahe. Guru is old style sugar candy, and chela is new style. Refined sugar. That's allegorical terms. We have nothing to do with sugar. Guru and disciple both were beyond the illusions of the world. This Guru Sanidhya, this constant union with Guru, they begin to live their life. They maintained their bodies as a matter of sport. Leela. You are not the body, but you have to handle your body, take care of it in all details, but at the same time, just like in a dream, when you develop awakening consciousness in your dream, a little leakage of awakening, then you have both view. You totally different from everything in your dream. At the same time, you are playing the part in your dream, led by your dream. Double consciousness. They lived a life devoid of pleasure and pain. They were in the possession of supreme dispassion. Even the eight great siddhis were as insignificant as straws before them. Thus they continued to live a life of enlightenment. Regarding 8 siddhis, here in this context, they attained the siddhis that were like fragrance of a flower. Their enlightenment is like a flower. And siddhis are spontaneous emanations from that flower. So these siddhis are not, because we always speak of riddhis, siddhis, and those who possess them, they are not enlightened. But here, he possesses the siddhis in a profound way. Now, just for your information, the descriptions of siddhis are all allegorical. You should not take it physically, literally. A yogi can render his body as small as he wishes. That's called anima. Nowadays, it's easy to understand. You can make your body small, big, by a touch of your finger and send it anywhere. If you are just doing your progress in this technical level, that is not real progress. With all the progress, where are you? The mind is full of misery and constant agitation. So, this form of riddhi siddhi is not your goal. But if you utilize the riddhi siddhi, and if you attain in a right way, these riddhi siddhis will bow down to you like servants. And you may utilize them for basantavat lokahite charanta, for the well-being of all. So far I have described the anima. Next one is called mahima. Mahima is heaviness or greatness. You had the capacity, you have the ability to reduce your body to minutes. You can now have the capacity to enlarge your body to a mountain size, or as big as you want. He can assume a body as big or gigantic as he pleases. Laghima is lightness. He may become lighter than cotton fiber. He can even dance on the cobwebs of spiders. Next, Siddhi Prapti, attainment. He can approach distant people by extending his subtle sense. People as well as objects. You want to pick up a bare fruit from India, stretch your hand and you can pick it up. Prakamya, infallible desire. Desires are fulfilled in a perfect way. He becomes endowed with immense willpower. He can acquire whatever he desires. Next, called Ishitva, lordliness. He develops the power of creation. Create so many jivas that we've always seen in the Puranas, how demoniac people who have gained lot of power, they put little oblation into the fire and so many personalities, so many creatures emerge. But in the case of Bhagiratha's Siddhi, this is not superficial. Next and the last one is called Kamavasayitva. Kamavasayitva. Fulfillment of all desires. Tripti. In the next section, 76, Bhagiratha resumes the rulership of his kingdom. In a detached manner, just like King Janaka ruled his kingdom. Shri Vasistha continued. Vasistha tells this story to Rama. The king of a certain country through which the sages were wandering died without any successor to the throne. In a storyline, Bhagiratha becomes a king, not of his own country yet. That also he will become. The subjects found in Bhagiratha all the great qualities of a noble ruler. They enthroned him as the king of their country. King Bhagiratha accepted this development because in his enlightened state, being a king was equal to being a wandering mendicant in the forest. See, the maturity of Vairagya. First stage of Vairagya is a big show. Have very little clothes, go on holding, begging bowl, and especially at home, put on all types of luxurious things. Advanced Vairagya doesn't care what appearance. You can have all types of appearance of a king, of a beggar, but it is your heart level of understanding that all this doesn't exist. They don't belong to you. You are not the body, mind, intellect. You are Brahman. King Bhagiratha accepted this development because, in his enlightened state, being a king was equal to being a wandering mendicant in the forest. He was beyond the varying conditions of the world. Soon the atmosphere was filled with the glorification of King Bhagiratha. Another point is brought out. If you are spiritually advanced, then handling a great job, you will render your services in a most precise manner, skillfully. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. How to do your duties in a perfect manner. That becomes spontaneous in a progressive way. In other words, when you go on repeating nothing exists, then you suddenly forget about doing the smallest little things, even how to brush your teeth. I'm joking. But it is the other way around. The more you understand nothing exists, the more qualitative you are in the performance of your action. Because you are not pressured. You are doing it with a sense of spontaneity. When the news of King Bhagiratha reached his own previous kingdom, the ministers and other royal officers came to him and requested him to include his previous kingdom in his present dominion. Now the king first he was a mendicant, now he became a king, and now he becomes emperor. His previous kingdom also joins with him. The ruler of his previous kingdom had passed away. So therefore, that kingdom comes to him. King Bhagiratha accepted their proposal. He became a great emperor and ruled his subjects with understanding, compassion, and wisdom. He was devoid of pride and jealousy. His speech was sweet, measured, and inspiring. These are the characteristics of Sthita Prajna. How does a Sthita Prajna, one who is rooted in spiritual knowledge, how does he conduct himself? How does he speak? How does he move around? He was free from all attachments. Therefore, he performed his duties wholeheartedly. Recalling the story of his forefathers who had been destroyed by the wrath of sage Kapila, the king decided to bring down the Ganges from the heavenly worlds in order to release the souls of his forefathers from the world of misery. That's the storyline. That's a very interesting story, but all the details I'm not going into, because just the story is not the goal of life. But the subtle point behind Ganges' story, that Kapila's forefather was Sagara, King Sagara, who had two wives, Sumati and Keshini. Sumati gave birth to thousands of sons. And Keshini gave birth to Asmanjas. Again, I'm touching some of those storylines. Sumati means your understanding. For the sake of Sumati, for the sake of intuitive understanding, a purified intellect, rather purified mind, creates countless vrittis, thought waves, that are expert in digging. Thought waves that dig into the world of Maya. That digging creates a big ocean. And those thousand sons, they were led to be burnt up by sage Kapila. Sage Kapila is Tattva Gyan, knowledge of the self, knowledge of the truth, turns your vrittis of the mind into ashes. Ashes means like samskaras. They stay in your unconscious. And they have to be washed away in order to be perfect in spiritual success. In other words, good karmas you do, and they stay as samskaras in your unconscious. Those samskaras have to be washed away completely for you to attain liberation. And what washes away is Jnana Ganga, the intuitive wisdom. For 1,000 years he practiced. Now that was his project, to bring Ganges, to liberate the forefathers. And for 1,000 years he practiced meditation on Brahman, on Brahma, Shiva, and sage Jahanu. First he practiced meditation on Brahma, and Brahma let drop Ganges from his Kamandalu. He practiced meditation on Shiva for holding the weight of Ganges for dripping down from Brahma's Kamandalu. And when Ganges does appear, passing through Sage Jahanu's ashram, Sage Jahanu drinks up the whole Ganges because she was making noise in the ashram. And Bhagirath had to practice meditation on him, worship him. Then Jahanu, out of his thigh, he scratched, and a drop of Ganges came out of it. This is Thailand. Thai is Thita. Allegorically, that state that is fixed, unshaken. In your body limbs, Thai makes you unshaken. So all these are allegorical stories. By the force of his austerities, he pleased these three people, Brahma, Shiva and Jahanu, and was able to bring the Ganges down to this earth. And we come down to the earth. Om Ram 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 Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Vabandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Are there any questions this evening? Sri Ram?
Pranam Gurudev. Gurudev, you described these good karmas also become ashes and deep in the subconscious and need to
But
be
good karmas
washed
are
away.
done to create those positive samskaras. Positive samskaras are like fuel that bring the fire of knowledge. For igniting fire, you need fuel. Good karmas come to a state of igniting fire. But now, what end result is, they stay in samskaras. Your unconscious is be purified, but it has not opened the door for purifying all the three planes. So, allegorically, Sagara movement is Gyan Ganga. When wisdom becomes perfect, it's not, your enlightenment is not confined to unconscious. It begins to sweep over all your personality. It influences your unconscious, the three planes, physical, sentimental, the plane of understanding. These are the meanings.
I have one more question, Gurudev. The Vedantic meditation, Shravanam, Mananam, Dhityasanam, must be supplemented with the devotional practice. So where is the conjuncture where in the series, where does the bhakti enter?
You will not be listening unless there is bhakti behind it. Savana Mana Nididhyasan become possible as a result of integral yoga. If you are not harmonizing karma, bhakti, dhyana and jnana, your listening will be defective. Your ears will be with glue. So it is nothing except, it is not something, a separate practice.
So it's completely intertwined in all the stages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you, Gurudev.
One special announcement. Next Wednesday, on April 21st, instead of the regular Yoga Vasistha lecture, you'll be enjoying Swamiji's special festivity lecture in celebration of Ram Navami and Hanuman Jayanti, a joint festivity, next Wednesday evening at 7:30.
Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Gurudev.